Hi, welcome to the discussion on promoting discussion, face-to-face and online. I'm Ruth Rogers.
And I'm Jordan Christie.
And we're going to be running you through some ideas of how to make the most of discussion in your face-to-face classes and online. First of all, it's important to think about why you'd be having a discussion and what you'll be having the discussion about. It's important to make the topic something interesting and worth discussing, something that there's a lot of different viewpoints, something that the students know about or have experienced. It's important to make the discussion atmosphere, whether face-to-face or online, low threat and supportive of diverse views. You may want to set some ground rules for discussion about being respectful of others' opinions. It's important also to give students time to formulate their views so that they can make significant contributions to the discussion. And also have a goal for your discussions. What is it you're hoping will emerge from that discussion? You can build essential employability skills, the communication skills, through discussion. As mentioned, you might want to discuss the etiquette or rules that you'll use for discussion about listening to one another, not interrupting, honoring each other's contributions. And it's important as you discuss things with students to model those contributions and show them how they should do it appropriately. You might also encourage students to paraphrase or summarize other people's viewpoints to develop their active listening and relationship building skills during the discussions. You can use a variety of activities in your classrooms to promote good discussion. The Think, Pair, Share, Traveling File, Learning Jigsaw, Take a Stand, Team Paper, and Cocktail Party are other resources that are on this site.
So in terms of online, some of the things that you can do sort of follow similar things when working face-to-face. So it's important to set up some guidelines for etiquette. It's also useful if you want to provide samples, because a lot of times students may not be used to completing discussions online, so if you can provide a sample of quality discussions, that's also helpful. And as well, if you can create rubrics and be very specific on your rubrics in terms of what you'll be evaluating, that's also really helpful for students if they haven't participated in online discussions before. It's also possible within WebCT to set up group discussions. So within WebCT, there's a group manager, and once you've set up groups, for example, here you can see here I've set up 5 discussion groups. Within the group manager, you can actually, right from there, create separate group discussions. So you would just click the checkbox beside the groups that you wanted to create discussions for. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see there's an option there to create group activity. You can select discussion topic and proceed. And what that will do, it'll work the same way as a discussion topic, except what it'll do is set up separate discussions. So only those in group 1, for example, will have access to the group 1 discussion board. Also, if you want to try and help improve student participation, what you can do is you can also assign students as moderators. So rather than having to moderate the discussions yourselves, you can actually, within groups, have one student, each group, be a moderator, and they can be in charge of kind of keeping the discussion flowing. You can also have students submit discussion prompts. So if you have a particular topic, you can have students submit ideas so they can kind of control what's going to be talked about within the discussion. Within the group manager, you can also set up SignUp Sheets. So for example, you could create, you can see here I've got moderator week 1, week 2, week 3. So you could actually have students on their end sign up to be a moderator. So you could create a moderator sign-up sheet and have students sign up to be moderators for a particular week. So that's one way you could facilitate that process. Another way is typically at the end of a discussion when you're online is you want to summarize it so students can see kind of what has been talked about throughout the discussion. And a nice kind of neat way to do that is using a tool called Wordle. And what this does is it creates a word cloud, which you can see here. So how it works is all you have to do is copy and paste the text from your discussion. So you would go to create, you could actually paste all of your text in there. And what it would do is it actually would create a word cloud of your discussion. And that's something that you could post for students to be able to see. And they've got different ones, so you can kind of reorder them, randomize them, and choose different ones. So that's kind of a neat way if you want to be able to summarize the discussion for students. And then evaluating discussions, it's also possible to create a grading form. So as I mentioned before, a rubric. If you set up a rubric ahead of time, you can use that to mark the discussions. Another thing you can do as well in terms of evaluating is you can also give students choice. So instead of having them participate in all discussions, if they have a particular topic that might be of more interest, they could, for example, choose to participate just in 3 of 5 or 4 of 5. And it's also possible to include peer review within discussion. In terms of a grading form, you can set up a grading form within WebCT. This is an example here. So depending on, you can customize it to be particular to what you're looking for in your discussion, but you can have various objectives and criteria and various performance indicators, and you can organize the points and make it very detailed. So then when you actually go to mark a discussion, if it has a discussion rubric assigned to it, when you go to mark, you would just click on the student and it'd actually bring up your rubric and you'd be able to complete that and submit that back to students. It's also possible when you set up a discussion to add in a peer review. So you can see if you go down to the bottom here, there's an option for peer review. There's two ways you can have students review each other. One is you can have them do it on a scale. So for example, you can create a star scale 1 to 5, and you can customize the objectives there. Or you can actually have them mark each other based on a rubric as well. So you can have them review each other on the same rubric that you may use, or you can create a different rubric where students can review each other. So if students do review each other, what will end up happening is they'll have a summary of how students have reviewed each other, so students can see it and you can see it as well, and that's part of the peer review. The last piece is, in addition to the discussion board that's available in WebCT, there's also some alternative tools that you can use to create discussion. One is called VoiceThread. What this allows you to do is you can create a discussion and students can participate. They can either use text, they can use a webcam, or they can also use just audio. Also, another way you could have students participate in the discussion is through audio. So a free tool that's available is Audacity. Students can download this for free on their computers and they can record audio, and then they could attach that to a discussion posting as well. So if you want to add something instead of just text, you can have students do audio. And then a final option is another tool called VoxoPop, and it's a similar idea. It's an audio option, except in this case it's a separate discussion board. So you could actually set up the discussion board within VoxoPop and then have students participate using audio as well. So those are just some ideas of things you can do when participating in discussions online.
This session has been very short and just an idea to give you lots of different ideas of how you can promote discussions in your classes face-to-face and online. Obviously, we don't expect you will have learned how to do each one of these things. It was just a browse through the possibilities. So if you'd like to learn how to integrate any of these, either face-to-face or online, into your classes, get in touch with one of us and we'll be happy to help you with that.